You like to avoid repetitive writing Python code just to store data? What if I told you that there is a magic decorator that can save you dozens of lines of code with just one line, or let's say a few lines? In this video, we are diving into Python data class, one of the cleanest and most underrated features in Python, and this one is called data class, and this is only in Python, let's say starting in Python 3.7 and above. So in this case, in this lesson, let's see, we will try to see what is the data class, what is the difference between regular class and data class, and how to write data class decorator, advantage and disadvantage, and for instance, practical examples, common interview questions, and bonus for tips. So in Python, data class is a simple way to create classes that mainly used to store data. For instance, if you have, let's see, to store, you'd like to store the data of the image, let's see, width, height, channels, data, and etc. For this stuff, you need only to you could use data class without writing a lot of let's see code. For instance, in the normal classes, or let's say the traditional classes, we have to create initial let's see the constructor, string representation, quick check, for instance, is equal or not, and hash, and let's see less than or greater than, and more many functions. Now, for data class, this will be generated let's see, automatically with in a Python. So let's say for just to compare between classes and data classes. So the code length, if you see the regular class, it's a really long, let's see, classes. But please keep in mind that sometimes it's not you have to use classes, but just for simple cases, you can use if you would like to store only a data, you can use data classes. We will see some examples. And the data class code length, it's shorter, of course. And he boilerplate, you have to write everything in a data class. It's Python generate everything for you. Let's see some, all of these functions will be generated for you. And immutability, manual with the set attribute, but here you can see frozen true. And the default values, you have to initialize this in any init function, and this one will be set in a class body. And comparison, you can use, for instance, manual. You have to, if you would like to compare two objects, you have to use, or let's say write this equal function inside the regular class, but here it's automatically created for you. So let's start to see how the data class is written. So in the beginning, you have to import this data from data class, import data class. So data classes, import data class. So this one here is already, let's see, built-in class. You don't need to install anything for this stuff. It's just try to use this built-in class. So for instance, here we have add this data class decorator before the class definition. And here I have two variables, let's see, name and age. And now if you would like to create one object, you just see, let's see, person1 is equal, call the class, let's see the class name, enter the file, enter the, yeah, enter the attributes. For instance, the name is Alisa and age is 25. And for example, for the person1. So now you can see print, if we would like to print object one, let's see how it will print it. So without, let's see, this function here, represent function. So this is without. So because this already created, let's see, behind, or let's see in background with the data class itself. And you can see now we can compare these objects, object 1 and object 2, b1 and b2, even without any function. For instance, this, for instance, equal. So as I said, this will be created automatically when we create when we add this data class uh, decorator. Now the second one is sometimes you need to have some values and also types. So as you can see here, this type is title is string, author is a string, unknown for instance for the initialized value, and the page is 0. So now you would like to create an object from this book. Just you need to add, of course you can add all of the parameters, but sometimes let's say you just need the Python, the title, and the title now is Python 101, 101. Now, if you print this book, the values of title will be Python, author is unknown, and the page is 0. It will take the default values. So you can see it's printing the values. And if you would like, for instance, to add another, let's see, author name, let's see, Alex, and now you can see it should be author. The author is Alex. Now, making some data classes immutable. So sometimes you need to have, if you initialize the values of, let's say, of the image, and it's not, let's see, acceptable to change the default values. So to have this, you have to add this frozen is equal true. This one here, frozen is equal true. Now, if you see here, I have initialized the point 1, 2, and now if I would try to change the point, the x to 3, it won't be acceptable. Why? Because I have added this frozen. So it's used for data immutable. And also this one here, you can see you can add the name, I mean the type, and also the default one. For instance, for the field, it says mutable. So you can see if you try to initialize, let's say create an object from this product, it will be a name, the price, and the tags will be as a list, and it will be as a list, empty list. As you can see here, it's empty list. Now let's just focus on one example of let's see of the computer vision. So here I have image information. I would like to have width, height, channel, and also file name. You might have, let's see, the Mac. Let's see some information about the image. I will see the data itself, the content of the image, instead of the file name. And here I have created one object, and you can see the object here is width is for 400, 640, 880, 480, and etc. here. And now let's see, I have two objects of the same data class, this one and this one here. As you can see, it's just a copy paste from this. It's just changing the name. But now, if I would like to change the file name of the image2 to a different, let's see, image2, and here I would like to, let's see, compare these two objects if they are equal or not. So I can see here, because I changed the data here, the image file name, and you can see here it's false. Now, what is the advantage of the data class? So this is, let's see, a symbol, but it's more efficient, and I'm using this in my code, let's see, many times, or let's see, repetitively, because it's saving you time, and sometimes you don't need functions. You can just use this. And that added advantage is loose code, clear syntax. You can see it's readable and maintainable. For instance, this class here. But as I said, you have to add this before defining the class. Otherwise, it won't be a data class. And built-in comparison and hashing, also frozen allow to immutability. So if you'd like to not change the values of the initialized value of the data class, you have to use frozen is quite true, and support type, hence, and default values. And the disadvantage is limited to simple data containers. So this data class is used, I will just let's see, as advice, just use this if you would like to have to store a data of let's see, any object. For instance, as we have seen here, the the image information. But if you would like to have some operation for this image, you have to let's see define the normal class, because let's say for instance you would like to or you just keep it like this, for instance like this. I mean, what I will do, for instance, just defining the data class as one here, like this, and use this if you would like to add some functionalities to your classes. For instance, pre-processing, post-processing, resizing, transformation, and etc. This we will see in the upcoming videos. And for that, either you have two options: to define everything in this class without the data class, and define the initialization, define all functions that you need. And the one step, let's see, one scenario, or the more efficient one is define this data class image info as it is, and use this data class inside the and create another class. Let's use image operations or anything you would like to rename it, and use this data class inside the other classes. And it's like not ideal for the behave-rich objects. Use regular classes, as I said, slower than plain tuples for let's see very large data sets. So if you have a very large data set, it's slower than the normal one, and no inheritance of the post initial. Yeah, there's I forgot this. Let's see just to have a look. Yeah, sometimes you have to, with the post initialize function. So the post function here, I have just forgot this post function. And as you can see here, you have initialized these values here. Now, if you see here, post initialization, it's after initialization, you need to check if the width, for instance, I just added the width, is maybe negative values. As you can see here, I have initialized the image info as width for -10, and edge as 100, channels as 3, and file name as this one. Or maybe you can just remove this because it has a default. But let's just try this, and you can see here its width must be positive. Why? Because I have added this post initialization. So if now I just remove this -10, it should work. So this is let's say a post initialization. You can add it to make sure that the all values have the, let's say, the expected values. Now you can see here the just some simple interviews question, but it's really coming in some interviews. What's the purpose of data classes? It's just to store the data of, let's say, any object. How the data class different from the regular classes, you can see in the top table. And so some other questions are somehow easy. Now you can see here, for instance, what is the output of this uh, a is equal 1. It will be true because the auto generated will be equal. It will check the values of the two objects and give you the, the result. And I think that's it for the for this data classes. And if you have any question, just drop it down in the comment below. I will, of course, answer it. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.